Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is the Ray Taylor Show.
Rayz Dayz, episode 144. This is a weekly diary podcast hosted by me, Ray Taylor. Every Saturday, I share updates on my journey as an artist, podcaster, business owner, and human. I'm excited to share my experiences with you and hope that my journey can serve as a source of inspiration and positivity for you. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about a brief update with what happened with Rayz Reactionz. I'm also going to talk a bit about my cold mornings and cozy bed and little last-minute programming changes that I made with this week's episodes. And I'm going to be getting into some of the upgrades, getting to peel back the curtain a little bit and talk about some of the upgrades I've been doing, which you may or may not have noticed in this show, The Ray Taylor Show. And as always, at the end of every episode, I will be sharing something I am thankful for. So starting off my week, Rayz Reactionz. Canceled, kinda. I'm not going to go too in-depth with that. If you want to know the details, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus, sign up, and read my personal blog, which comes out every week. Every week I put out a new blog talking about things that I don't talk about in this episode, talking about similar behind-the-scenes type stuff, but I talk about what happened with Rayz Reactionz and why it didn't get released, why it's canceled, kinda. And you can also, as a member of Inspired Disorder Plus, you can check out the actual Rayz Reactionz that are only available on Inspired Disorder Plus, an exclusive Inspired Disorder Plus content, as many canceled things are. As far as future updates and episodes of Rayz Reactionz, tentative. I don't know if I will attempt to do another one of these. The reaction videos are tricky. And there are hurdles involved, and I don't know if I want to spend the time researching the perfect way to do that. Eventually, I'm sure I will, and eventually I'll do them on America's Got Talent, because that is the piece of content that gets me most viscerally, will viscerally react, which the act that each video is me reacting to a different audition from the first episode. And one of the auditions that got me emotional is not available to watch, is out of my hands. It is blocked. So if you want to know the details, sign up for Inspired Disorder Plus, read all of why they weren't able to get released, and you can check out the videos that were able to at least be put out in some ways, but didn't hit the mark for what I wanted, and it's kind of a bummer because I put a lot of work into it. But the week's been pretty good. It's been nice and cold and overcast. This week has been the toughest week for me to get out of bed. I've been waking up just super comfortable in bed, just coming off of the holiday season. My roommate has a kid that I generally most days of the week will drive to school because my roommate is working in the morning. So to help out and be a good roommate and be a good friend, I drive her kid to school. And now that school is back and I can't sleep in like I was, not that I was sleeping in that much, but even just like that small hour difference, I have been sleeping like garbage. I have not wanted to get up out of bed. Like, my bed has felt the most comfortable it has ever felt. And it's horrible. And even Friday night, right? I don't have to wake up early Saturday. I can sleep in. I love Friday night, right? I'm so excited. Yes, I can finally sleep in. Saturday, I'll do all my prep work for the show, and it'll be great. I slept 3 hours last Friday. I went to sleep super late, right? It's like, oh, I get to sleep in. Stayed up way too late working on stuff, right? My big problem is not winding down at the end of the night, at, giving myself like a good hour or two before I need to go to bed to just turn the lights off, put on some mindless TV, maybe take some sleeping aids, sleeping pills, whatever, and have those kind of kick in over the time and not work on anything. Definitely not look at comments on social media, which Friday night, for whatever reason, did all of the things wrong, stayed up late, didn't wind down, and right before bed looked at some contents, and of course there were comments on one of my episodes of Swipe Up, which is one of the most controversial things I do. Give my opinions on the news, and a lot of my opinions are considered to be very wrong by a lot of right-wing people, a lot of gun nuts, a lot of people who may be religious. And that is why looking at comments is horrible, because running through my head was like me yelling at this person in every, like, just I couldn't shut my brain off. So I went to sleep at like around 2 in the morning, went to sleep, and then I woke up at like 5 because my dog, getting old, need to let her out regularly, and she usually will at some point at the night start making noise, and like in order for me not to wake up with the smell of poop in the studio, we'll wake up and I'll let her go outside as I'm half asleep, and then I can get back to sleep. But once I woke up, I could not go back to sleep. So 3 hours of sleep. It was a long day Saturday. Surprisingly was able to get all of my work done, but it sucked. It's just like I need my sleep, man. I don't function like I used to function. I used to be able to, back in those old days when I used to walk a mile to 2 up a hill to get to a place. I can't do it anymore. And then the programming changes. Because I had a temporary subscription to Mubi. Oh, that's what I was watching. I not only reviewed Vortex, the new Gaspar Noé movie, reviewed that yesterday, but also my initial intention for getting it were to watch the Park Chan-wook film Decision to Leave, which I reviewed last week. Because it was a week-long trial version of Mubi, which is kind of like a art house type of a movie service in a lot of ways. A lot of foreign films, a lot of art house films, kind of similar in some ways to the Criterion thing. So like interesting to kind of get a taste and see what Mubi's all about, because I'd heard about it. And I was going to watch a movie that had been recommended to me from a lot of the fans and people who have subscribed from India, or fans of my reviews of Indian films. The reason I try and do Indian film reviews every week, and I've kind of missed this time of year because there's so many movies for the awards season, movies that I just haven't seen. I've kind of been packing the week in with stuff that I've missed throughout the year. But I was intending to review this movie that was recommended to me a bunch of times, Gangs of Wasseypur. It's a part 1 and a part 2. While watching part 1, I realized that it's actually a single movie that for the release, for some reason, was split into 2, because no theater, I guess, was willing to show a 5+ hour movie, that's how long this movie, I found out, was going to be, as I was just and I was like behind because of the Rayz Reactionz things. I had less time to watch stuff, so it's kind of pushed it. The Rayz Reactionz thing really threw my schedule out of whack. That's another reason why, I'm going to wait on that thing. But once I found out that this movie was 5 hours long, and I was excited to see it. It is a epic gangster movie that apparently sprawls generations of this family who has a constant feud. And I was enjoying it, but once I saw it was going to be a total of 5 hours to watch both of those to review for this week, I was like, I'll just wait and find it another time, or maybe sign up for another trial version, or just pay for a month of Mubi at some point to watch this. And I'm sure it'll be available somewhere else at some point, but had to make a change and decided to watch what ended up being A Pale Blue Eye, which was Monday's review, which was a new release on Netflix. So I want to take a quick break from the show to let you all know that there is official merch for the Ray Taylor Show. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com. You can get t-shirts, different artwork available, different designs, all on high quality materials in all the sizes. There's also iPhone cases made of biodegradable material. That's right. This is not bad for the environment. This is good for the environment. So all of those designs that are available on t-shirts are also available on phone cases. Designed by me, sold by me. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com to support the Ray Taylor Show and promote it out in the world, so all of the people in your life can see that you are a fan of the Ray Taylor Show. Now, let's get back to that very show right now. But the reason I'm able to easily change all those things, obviously, because I do all of the work myself. I don't have to run it by anybody if I want to change the scheduling of my show. But also, I've been doing a lot of upgrades to stuff. I've mentioned them here and there, talked about them. You may have noticed some of these upgrades. But I'm making the production of this show, the back end of this show, digital, right? Where while I'm recording these episodes, I used to have whiteboards, one whiteboard for each episode, which had my notes, my bullet points of things I wanted to talk about on each episode. And, that forced me to only be able to fit what I could on one board. So it restricted the things that I had to remember a lot of other things. And in going digital, one, it's going to eliminate those restrictions, right? And also make it direct in a lot of ways, where I can just, instead of writing my notes down in my notebook and then transferring those notes onto the whiteboard and then also preparing the show notes for each episode, now I can just write directly onto the note. So I'm using my notes app, right, on my iPhone. I can access on my laptop. I can access on my tablet, right? All of my production tools, except for Photoshop, are free Apple products, applications, right? The Notes app, iMovie, and GarageBand. Don't need high-end professional stuff to produce this show. Very simple stuff. So now I have notes. I have overall show notes for, stuff for the website and stuff for posting on YouTube. But then each episode has its own note of newly formatted, right? I have a little bit more format. I have intros and outros for every show, which I've kind of refined. If you've noticed, the past 2 weeks have been a little rough at the beginning and end of the episodes. But I'm able to have more bullet points, which that's, I don't have a script. I can't do that. But bullet points, like, oh, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to talk about, just to remind me and keep me on track. So that has been a big upgrade for this show, to where I can be more thorough in the episodes. I can be more thorough with my reviews. I can be more thorough with all of the episodes. And I have a structure with the episodes, so I'm not kind of winging it. So I can have, in my movie reviews, for instance, so I can have a spoiler section. And when I'm putting out and laying out what I'm going to talk about, I can easily copy and paste things and kind of organize things in a way to make them flow better in the episode, instead of constantly jumping around like I was before. Like, if you watch old episodes, there's many times where I lose my place, especially doing an episode recap, where I have usually the episode recaps were 2 whiteboards written as small as I could to where I could still read it, and I would lose my place so many times. Frustrating, because it ruins the flow, right? I have to stop. I have to end up editing in some cases, which I don't like doing that stuff. Everything I prefer live to tape, right? There's no need for editing. People that spend all of their time editing podcasts are clearly have no desire to actually get better at hosting a podcast. So this is allowing me to do everything so seamlessly. So this is so far the first week where like it was 100% digital, no whiteboards whatsoever, and just everything prepared on a separate note. I refined the intros and outros, cleaned them up a bit, made them, a little bit more of how I speak and how I would say things, cut some things out, did a little things, changed structurally, and I can easily do that, but then I have outlines for things. So I know it's like, okay, this is intro. This is what the episode is going to be about, right? The beginning of this episode. Oh, I'm going to talk about these things, right? The beginning of Swipe Up. It's like, oh, these are the stories I'm going to cover. So it's like allowed me to do a lot of things, being able to format everything differently, being able to not be restricted by stuff, and it took a few weeks to iron everything out, adding anything new, because it's not necessarily changing how I fundamentally do a podcast, but it's just what's the best way to implement these new technologies, right? And it makes it easier, right? Because now I always had my laptop open for stuff, but now it's like camera, notes right below it, and then I have a web browser open right next to it, split screen on my laptop. Perfect. It's beautiful. Like, it's been smooth. I've noticed this week, you will notice if you watch my episode of The Menu, my review of The Menu movie on Wednesday, you will be able to see when I reverted for a moment back to winging it, where I lost my place. Whereas now I know, because I only have a few bullet points open at a time and I just scroll as I'm going, and I know because I structured it before I started the things I want to talk about in the order I want to talk about them. I went out of order in that episode, and you could tell. Versus all of these other episodes, I feel like they've been pretty smooth. So I've enjoyed that, right? I've enjoyed that. Which just now I may have been, may have gone off script, maybe. I don't know. Like, I play jazz, baby. Right? I might go wild over here, but then I'll come back. I'll find the groove again. But it's definitely going to provide me and my movie reviews more structure, right? I think it's going to allow me to improve and get better, because that's my goal. That's my entire goal. These are journeys, not destinations, right? Every week is another step on my journey, whether it's with painting, whether it's with this podcast. I'm always looking for ways to make a thing a little bit better, to make it work a little bit easier, to make my job a little bit easier, maybe to do a little bit more. And one of the things this past year, last year, that I wanted to work on was getting better at understanding how I wanted to review movies and talk about movies, and having this structure, these kind of basic bare bones skeleton of formatting for the episodes has allowed me to do that, I think. And I think will allow me to do better movie reviews in general. So, and I'm able to prepare more, right? Swipe Up was a show that I've never really prepared for, aside from picking the stories that I'm going to talk about and then just riffing on them. But now, in addition to using ChatGPT, what I will do is I will find the stories that I want to talk about through, as I'm living my life and scrolling Instagram, I bookmark posts and stories that I might want to talk about on next week's Swipe Up. And then when I'm prepping for the episode, Saturdays, I will go through my bookmarks and I will pick out, used to be 4 stories, now it's 3 stories, right? And now how I prep is I go to the original story, or find another article that is discussing that same topic, and I will copy that article, put it into ChatGPT, and I will have ChatGPT generate bullet points, summarize the article in bullet points. So I don't have to read the entire article. And then now, when I'm talking about these things, one, I know the story because it's right there in the format I use, bullet points. And as I'm going through the story, I can riff on it in that way. So it's more informed, and also because it's prepared in that way, it also improves even further behind the curtain. It also improves my ability to generate the descriptions for the shows for YouTube and for the podcast descriptions for the show notes, and also generate tags that are relevant to the story, right? So, and including this episode, where because I have everything written out in text form, all of the topics and things I'm going to talk about, I can easily pop that into ChatGPT. I'm like, yo, give me a title, well, give me a description and tags that are optimized for search, and bada bing, bada boom, it does it. I copy and paste. Like ChatGPT, my favorite like addition, right? It allows me to do things, convert things in ways very seamlessly and very easily to allow me to make sure that my descriptions are on point, allows me to make sure that my tags are on point, not only in YouTube, but also when I post my clips for the, I cut 3 clips out every day to post on social media every morning. And I now am able to easily generate hashtags for everything. So it's allowed me to improve like glaring weaknesses in a few of my episodes, like really just revamped the whole thing, right? I would imagine watching this show this week and subsequent weeks as I just get even more and more used to this new format of everything, and compare that to an average show, because the consistency was variable. There were some weeks where I was like, yeah, that was a great review, that was a great episode, and then there's some was like, I was all over the place, I didn't know what I was talking about. It was like very inconsistent. This is going to improve consistency overall, hands down. I think, and not limited, which is also leading to longer episodes. Let's take a little break from the show to promote the benefits of Inspired Disorder Plus. So you go inspireddisorder.com/plus. Sign up, $5 a month. You get to binge the full week of the Ray Taylor Show ad-free. You get to watch all of the live painting videos I do. You get a special members-only discount and deals for all of the artwork and merch that I sell. You also get the complete podcast back catalog of every podcast I've ever produced, hundreds of episodes, countless different podcasts. You also get access to my personal blog. A new blog comes out every week. In addition to that, you get my creative writing that I'm releasing. You also get access to asking me anything. 14 years of experience podcasting. I've been creating art my entire life. I've been using Photoshop since middle school, and you can contact me to ask me questions about that or anything else. So those are the benefits for signing up for Inspired Disorder Plus. And now let's get back to the show. It's amazing that this show, when it started 4+ years ago, I was doing 3 episodes a week, and the episode lengths were 10 minutes or less, because I started this show when Instagram announced and started IGTV, which is no longer a thing anymore, but that was their long-form video, vertical video format. That's why these episodes are vertical. That's why to this day, the graphics, the opening graphics for the episode artwork are created in Instagram every week, right? That's why the text looks like the colors Instagram, the GIFs that I use to animate stuff, all used Instagram. It was all themed because that was the intention. It's like, I'm going to do a show that's for IGTV, a vertical thing, 10-minute episodes, 3 episodes, and then very shortly 5. And then, within a couple months, I was doing a daily episode, but still 10-minute episodes. To now, it's still 7 episodes a week, but the episode lengths are like anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, right? Like right now, I'm at 23 minutes as I'm recording this, so it might be a little bit off after the ends are clipped out. But I would have been so it's I'm recording now. The total recording length is 4 to almost 6 hours of podcasts on a Sunday. I don't get done recording till like 5 in the evening, where I used to get done sometimes at noon. It's just grown everything, right? And even this, now that I have unlimited space to talk about as much as I want, they could be even longer. And it's so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's using my apps thing, and then also the addition of ChatGPT has allowed me to really fill in a lot of gaps that I was weak. And I would say it's probably the biggest improvement that's had to the show. It's weird, but my goal to constantly get better, whether it's doing better movie reviews, or being more informed with the stories that I'm giving my opinions on, or this show, introing into a show, outroing out of a show. You're going to see new ads. I already have prepped like 10 new promos that I want to start cycling through episodes more, so you're not just seeing kind of the same 2 ads. And hopefully all this leads to actually getting real sponsors that want to sponsor this show, and getting real advertisers, which if you don't want to see ads, all you got to do is sign up for Inspired Disorder Plus, and you get the ad-free version of this. So, there's always an option there for people that don't like ads. But, for me and livelihood and paying bills, I would love to actually get some paid sponsors. And having all this that I'm doing is going to make it even more pleasing and more likely for a business to want to spend money on what I'm doing here. And it's just going to make everything I do more consistent, which is always good, less fluctuation and all that. So, as I like to do at the end of every episode, is talk about something, highlight something that I'm thankful for. And this week is, it's something that I'm thankful for that happened, that I was able to experience during the pandemic, during that crazy time when everything was locked down, and I decided to change my life and put all my chips into producing the show, to producing my artwork, to try and make a living doing these things, putting all my effort into these things, working at them like a full-time job. But during that time, I was thankful enough to sign up for one of the many meal kit companies. That is what I'm thankful for this week, meal kit companies, which is something that, it's an interesting service, right? It's one of these companies. I'm not going to say any brands. You know them, right? You sign up. There was a promo code, so I was getting a discount on it, right? I was signing up for 3 meals a week, 2 servings per meal, right? So usually I would make a meal, and then I would save the second half for leftovers, or I would just eat them both. But they send you the ingredients, and you cook them yourself, right? So instead of me going, which I was ordering groceries through Instacart at the time, it cut down my grocery bill and I was eating amazing meals that I was cooking myself. But what it did was it got me used to and comfortable cooking meals. They were basic meals, but you were making all of the different components for the meal, right? You're cooking the sides, you're cooking the entree, you're making the sauces, you're doing the things, you're doing all the things. Very simple, very easy, and there's you get to keep all the recipes. So there's favorites. My favorite by far that I've made a ton of times. It is so easy to make. There's this chili verde recipe, right, where you just put everything in one. It's so easy to make, right? You just got to go buy the ingredients at the grocery store, which is fine. But I loved it. It taught me how to cook. Not that I didn't know how to cook, but it taught me a lot of things that it kind of just showed the reality of cooking, right? Where a lot of my perception of cooking before felt like it was so much work to do all of the components, right? I would always just kind of cook an entree and that's it. I never really bothered with the sides, the salads, the rices, the different things. And this forced me to eat better. I was eating the best I had ever eaten in my life, probably, right? Aside from spending a bunch of money and going out to restaurants all the time, like I was getting different meals, 3 different crazy meals. I was cooking meals of things that I've never had before, which I loved the aspect of trying things that I'd never tried before, because there is kind of that pressure trying a new restaurant and not even knowing what to order, you know. So there's tons of dishes that I cooked for the very first time with this, just following the instructions, which they were easy instructions. So it's like I knew I couldn't mess it up. And they were delicious. I loved all, like, there's only maybe a couple that I was like, that was all right. But most of them were amazing, right? But it forced me to cook. It taught me a lot about just the cooking basics. And I love that I could keep the instructions, the recipes and everything. And, you know, I cook that chili verde thing all the time. It's so easy. It's so easy and so good. But, you know, that's why I'm thankful for it. It you know, I set out to learn how to, the reason I signed up was to kind of learn how to cook and also to be able to experiment with different dishes. So both of those things combined, is it are these amazing services? They're, you know, it's not cheaper than going grocery shopping for yourself. It's easy. It's compared to somebody who might spend their money going out to eat all the time, it's way cheaper than that. Also, there was many times where the packaging was leaking, specifically the meat products, the proteins. But the service I signed up with, when you filed a complaint and let them know that their packaging was broken, they would credit you free meals. So I got a lot of free meals out of it because it was a regular thing where like packages were leaking, which, you know, I don't know about the food safety nature of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to bring it up. But, you know, other than that, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being able to try new dishes that I never would have tried, cook dishes that I never thought I would cook. Like, you know, before you would have on the app, you can go through their catalog of recipes and you could choose what you wanted to try. So it's like when they showed up, I knew what I was going to get. And I was like, ooh, I want to try and make that. Ooh, that sounds good. Ooh, that looks good. I'm going to do that. And it's great. It's probably the best I ate ever in my life. And, you know, I think it gave me the confidence to cook meals. Like, I don't feel there's not nearly the type of fear that existed before I started doing that. So this week, I am thankful for the meal kit companies that send you all of the ingredients and the recipes and make it super easy meals to make. I really do enjoy those. And if there's a company out there that does want to sponsor this podcast, I would love it. Send me some free meals. But yeah, that is it. You know, I'm thankful for that, but I'm also thankful for the opportunity to connect with all of you through this podcast and for the chance to share my journey with you. Please join the conversation by leaving a comment or rating on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube if you're watching this. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next Saturday for another episode of Rayz Dayz.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out. What?
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can